You know, as May races toward June, it's budget time for a bunch of public agencies that start their new year on July 1st. And in Clackamas County, the process kind of off to a bit of a rough start. The sheriff is throwing up a roadblock to the county's plan for her department. And that is definitely our top story tonight. I got to tell you, in my opinion, typically budgets and budget hearings are kind of a snooze fest. But this year, it's different in Clackamas County. Check this out. Sheriff Angela Brandenburg sent out a letter to the public warning that her agency faces a $5 million cut. And she said it's happening because the county needs $15 million for its annual payment on the new courthouse. It does look beautiful. Here's a rendering of the place. It's expected to open in 2025. It's going to cost around $313 million, according to the county. Now, the commissioners in Clackamas County, they like law enforcement, which is why it probably hit a nerve when the sheriff drew up her own budget and proposed cutting 34 positions to absorb that $5 million cut. Commissioner Paul Savas did not seem to appreciate the letter or the sheriff's idea for cuts.
And a lot of constituents who called me, knocked on my door, stopped by my house, were asking me questions, and you know, I think there's a lot of bad information out there right now, and I don't think that's a good thing. I think that's going to confuse things here today. So therefore, I'm going to make a couple comments. Number one, we I believe all my colleagues are united on this, have said for weeks, months, that we are not going to cut any positions. That we will, if need be, we will line item guarantee every position funded in the sheriff's department. We made that perfectly clear.
Seems a little sensitive. Sheriff Brandenburg said most of those 34 jobs are vacant now. She did not like the alternative proposed, suggested by the county.
For me, there are some serious issues with it, and I don't believe it's sustainable. And so I'm going to propose or bring to the table for the budget committee to consider information about my own budget. And that would eliminate positions, unfortunately. Alternatively, they could also fund me and not defund us.
Now, the budget battle is kind of interesting, at least I think so, because of the power structure that's involved. The sheriff is independently elected by the public. She answers to the public. The county board has no power over her whatsoever. But the sheriff mostly has to turn to the county to get the money that she needs to run her department. Now, let's get into the weeds for a moment. Last month in late April, the county held a budget hearing, and during that hearing, budget manager Sandra Montoya explained that Clackamas would be changing the way that it charged departments for internal services, things like, human resources. It's part of what has the sheriff so fired up.
So I know that lots of people would say the timing is because of the courthouse. I have to tell you honestly, it would have happened anyways, whether the courthouse would have happened or not, just like we had to implement a new budget system, whether COVID happened or not. It just, life has to continue, and our plans have to move forward regardless of anything else that is happening. However, I will say that from a fortune perspective, it is fortuitous that we had this cost allocation change coming in a year when we were looking for additional funding for the courthouse.
So those cost allocations are more. Board Chair Tootie Smith also pointed out that the system needed to be changed to meet future federal requirements. But that cost allocation thing, that really is a big deal. The sheriff says the county wants to use it to force her to pull money that's built up out of a special enhanced law enforcement district that was created by voters. And it's a levy. And the money is supposed to be used to provide deputies for the rural parts of the county. Sheriff Brandenburg said when she campaigned for that levy, she promised the voters it would only be used for law enforcement.
We are a law and order county, and the people expect services. They expect us to respond when they call for help. And to take money from this funding source that the voters entrusted me with to do things that were not what the voters intended is not something I'm going to stand for. And that's why I refused to go along with the county's budget.
And with them saying, okay, Sheriff, fine, we'll create a budget for you. Has that ever happened before?
Well, quite frankly, I was stunned when I got that message, and that has never happened before. And my responsibility to the voters, right? And so it was difficult.
Yep, you can see that it is. And did you catch that the county has taken the budget creation of the sheriff's office away from the sheriff? Angela Brandenburg says she's going to fight to protect the voters' tax money, and she thinks serious questions should be asked about Clackamas County's proposed courthouse.
Can we afford this courthouse? And we knew, because we were told.
Serious concerns means maybe we can't afford it?
Yeah, serious concerns for the courthouse that, maybe we can't afford it. The decision was made at the county level to move forward by the Board of County Commissioners to do this. And we were told that $15 million would have to be cut out of the general fund funding for all of our offices. That was their funding plan.
And by the way, if you wonder if this budget fight is going to end in a friendly way, seems unlikely to me. There were more than a few verbal barbs tossed around today, including this one from Board Chair Tootie Smith.
The sheriff had an opportunity to post her budget on OpenGov, just like all the other budgets. If she knew that she was going to have an alternative budget, I would suggest the sheriff should probably follow the rules of budget law, just like everybody else is.
All right. Today they were talking about the budget for Enhanced Law Enforcement District. Tomorrow they're going to talk about the sheriff's entire budget. How fun will that be? The sheriff has asked members of the public to rally to her defense, by the way, and let county commissioners know in person how they feel about this budget. And Commissioner Ben West posted to Twitter on Friday that the sheriff's letter is specious and cynical, or at best ill-informed. He's also looking forward to tomorrow's budget discussion, quote, where all will be revealed.